Hello, everybody. Welcome back to This Is What It Takes podcast. I'm your host, Michael Mackniak, and I'm here as usual with my partner in crime, Victoria Cuore. Hello, Victoria.
Hello, Michael.
She's so nice
Hey.
she's so nice when she hits record. Today, guys, we are joined by a real special woman, a real special friend named
Of mine, not yours. I hope she gives you so much shit.
yeah,
Oh,
she
we're fast friends. It's okay. He's earned it.
So Alison Graham is here, everybody, before I was so rudely interrupted by Victoria. Allison does it all. She's what I want to be. She's a speaker, she's an author, an entrepreneur, she's an expert in resiliency. She's got some real lived experience that helps to inform all the stuff that she tells so many other people in her work life, in her presentations, in her public persona. She is a public figure for many of those who know her already. She has had significant health challenges and chronic pain, and we'll let her talk about that. I don't want to get into all of her personal information without her doing it. But the interesting thing for us here, This Is What It Takes, and for you all who are working in recovery yourselves as survivors, etc., is that Allison's kind of shaken the tree a little bit and rethought the way that we should all be thinking about resilience and the way that we should think about what it means to be good to ourselves. Is that a good way to say it, Allison?
I like it.
Good.
I'm just going to let you keep going.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the best. I'm just trying to think of a way to like really humanize, crappy situations that we find ourselves in, and how somebody like you put on your cape and really help a lot of people to, I hate to say this word, but I'm going to use it anyway, this term anyway, pull themselves up by the bootstraps, because sometimes we need that. And you've really thought outside the box of how we get there. So first of all, I like to ask people kind of like, what's got you pumped up and excited right now? What are you doing? Tell your audience here what it is that you want them to know about you, and what gets you gassed.
Oh my gosh, so much. Well, what gets me gassed? I like that phrase. That must be an American thing. What gets me gassed? What gets me lit up?
It's American, but it's from like 1952. So I
Well,
honestly,
I'm all
I don't
in.
know where
I'm
it
all
came.
in.
Yeah.
That's great.
Physical
So
graffiti.
exactly. Well, my work in my practice, so I work one-on-one with people. I go into companies and work with their leadership teams, and I have the opportunity to do a lot of media work and love, of course, talking with Victoria and all the great content that she's put out
You're
into the
the
world.
one that likes
Brilliant.
talking to her. I
Yes.
you're
And
the
now she's got me hooked on talking to you.
Yes.
And those who are listening and watching, please know these two are like BFFs. They really do connect and they rib each other. It looks like it behind the scenes. They won't admit it. But my work is all around capacity. Like at the end of the day, if you have pain, if you have too much on your plate, if you're caring for somebody in your life, if you don't have capacity to take care of yourself, to serve them, to juggle all of the priorities, that's when you burn out. And my conversation is about closing that capacity gap. And when you say things like, I've really shaken the trees and challenged the status quo on the advice, I'll tell you, that came from my own personal experience of feeling like going to all these doctors and going to my pain psychologists. And I've had several over the years. And how do you deal with chronic pain? And it always felt so flippant to me. And it wasn't intentional. Like, I get it, the platitudes, the memes, the TikTok advice, it comes to us because there's some truth in it, but there's always nuance in it. And I remember I was my very first group support thing. It was at the hospital for people with severe, chronic pain and post-traumatic pain situations. And I went into this boardroom and everybody had already been there for a couple of years, and it was at the hospital. So it was those big rolly chairs. And I went in and I was so excited because I'm like, we're going to talk about the exact same things you and I are going to talk about today, which is like all these strategies that I can get through this and I can live a full life despite the physical that's going on. And as we're there, I like show up so excited, and they did not like my excitement. And they started telling me, no, you've got to stop. You are never going to work full time again. Like same things that my doctors were telling me. And I'm like, no, 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 we're here to figure this out. And they're like, no, we don't work anymore. We don't, you're not going to be happy. This is like your pain is your life. Stop trying to be so optimistic. And I literally, and I will not swear on this podcast, but I will tell you, I swore in that room and I pushed my rolly chair back up and I went from the boardroom and I said, big word, this. And I walked out of that room and I never went back to another group support.
Well, good for you. We were just talking about that off the air, right?
Yeah. It's so hard to be in rooms where people aren't looking for a solution.
Yeah.
And I want to bring the nuance into that comment because a solution does not mean taking away the pain.
That's true.
A solution in my life, my frame of reference is how do I have the best life possible, the fullest, most meaningful life possible with the least amount of angst, the least amount of friction based on today's reality.
It's funny because we're having this conversation and 2 weeks ago, Thursday, I threw my back out, cutting cardboard boxes with a knife, with a razor knife. Not doing anything strenuous, but I felt it. I tweaked it. That's gonna hurt later. I'll tell you what, these last 2 weeks have been hell for me. All kinds of drugs. And last night I just decided I'm not taking the drugs anymore. The drugs are making me feel crappy. I just don't like the way that the narcotics make you feel. So I'll just take the ibuprofen and deal with it. Of course, I'm at the 2.5 weeks in now. But the point being that I don't have, thankfully, knock on wood, this kind of chronic pain that you're talking about, and I haven't in my life, luckily. So I can't relate to it. But when I have this episode in the last 2 weeks, now I'm listening to you, I'm like, yeah, it would really suck if I had to live in that pain and sort of accept that as I said earlier, my new normal. When we were talking offline, I said, this is my new normal. Bullshit. I'm not going to let this be my new normal. There's no freaking way. And I don't care what it takes to get out of this new normal. So it's just so serendipitous that we're talking at this point while I'm going through the tail end of this. You, however, have struggled for many, many years with the pain. Is that right?
It's been 19 years since my surgery, and the pain is actually a lot better now. And when I say a lot better, we're going to use that as a relative term. And, because you just tend to get normalized to it. And I think you use that phrase a couple of times. It's like, what's your new normal? And as much as during that pandemic where people were always saying, oh, we got to get adjusted to the new normal, and people started to get rid of that phrase, the truth is we do adapt. Mm-hmm. And what we normalize, the key is like the pain is understanding it and making friends with the pain when it's long term, right? Like the signal is there and it's firing and it's awful and it can rule your life. It can be a cloud. And it's a very different reality and different strategies compared to what you just went through, Mike, like with the 2 weeks. Where I'm hopeful for you is that you did take a little bit of time off. You did allow your body maybe not quite as much as you could have, but allowing your body to adjust, right? And to heal, giving yourself the space and the grace to do that when you're going, that acute pain, in my experience, because I've had many of those injuries as well, and I can feel you in that back situation. It's like, that's a different strategy than when you're 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and it's not going away, but there's also no tweak left. Like there's no way to fix it necessarily, right? And that's why taking that time when you do get an injury, if you can, to heal it properly and not push it. Like a good friend of mine just hurt her foot, and I'm like, and so you're out right now doing what on your foot?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the ice?
I suck at that, and Victoria knows I suck at it, and everybody around me knows I suck at it. And we've been, frankly, happily very busy with all the work that Victoria and I have been doing. So I haven't given myself the right amount of time until probably this week. I have one more question, Victoria, if you don't mind. I'm sorry if I'm sucking up all the oxygen in the room. Because my dad is 84, going to be 85 years old. And he's down in Florida because that's the law. You have to be in Florida when you're that old, apparently. he I kind of get on him all the time about the number of pills that he's on. And then he talks about having to go to see the pain doctor, this, the pain doctor, that. I'm going to throw it out there. You could push back on me and you could argue with me, and I hope you would. I don't like the idea of pain doctors. Just the idea that they're calling themselves pain doctors in and of itself tells me that they know people are in pain. They're going to be a specialist that's going to just look at pain. And frankly, the way the American medicine runs, they're going to give you pills to mask that pain and not worry about the underlying cause. How do you feel about that stance?
Oh, I've got two comments, two lines of direction. I'm going to tell you the first one, and then I'm going to go back to the second about the pills and whatnot. Okay.
Yep.
So beyond the pain, I have this random disease called sarcoidosis, which if anybody knows about it, it's usually something that you just kind of get and it can influence your life. And you'll notice my nose. If you're seeing me on video, it's getting better, but it can sometimes get really overgrown and stuff. It's very annoying, but it's a very random disease and it's throughout the body. So I have 9 specialists who I have to see, right? I got the cardiologist guy, I've got the rheumatologist, I've got the internist, the ophthalmologist. It just doesn't stop. And last year, I was like, this is ridiculous. All you're doing is giving me more pills, or more medications, the cancer drugs, the methotrexate, the things I don't want to be on. And it's not working, by the way. So it's not solving the problem. I went to every one of the doctors independently and I said, what are we going to do? What are you going to help me do to get to the bottom of why this disease is happening? And every one of them independently said, not my job. My job is to treat symptoms and be sure they don't get worse. And when they do get worse, then we bring in another type of treatment. And so that isn't a failure of the doctors. No. That's a failure of how much bandwidth they have. It all comes back to capacity, how much they're willing to investigate, how open they are to what's the new research. And I'm so blessed to have some incredible doctors who have agreed to do some more experimental stuff. And now we're kind of getting somewhere without any damage to my body on that particular issue. And I don't share that to say, oh, look who has sarcoidosis, because I don't actually normally name it in public. But I will tell you, there's so many people who are going through that same situation where they're going to the doctor looking for an answer and they're getting a treatment as opposed to going deeper into the underlying cause of it. And I will tell you this is where self-advocacy comes in, and you need the capacity to get the self-advocacy. You're so overloaded. When are you going to sit down? I'll tell you what I did. I went to my favorite AI, Claude, and I said, Claude, I need you to pull me every piece of research on this disease globally. I want you to cite it. I want you to give me an executive summary of what they found. I do not want you to sugarcoat it. I don't want you to make any recommendations. I just want you to find me all of the medical documentation. And from that, I was able to give my doctor a report on what's happening in the research because they can't keep up on it. It's not their job to figure it out. So self-advocacy with respect to the doctor, not overriding the doctor, not making them feel like they don't know what they're talking about, because they do, like they're taught, but they don't necessarily have the bandwidth to go get the new information. So that's the first thing I will say about wanting to treat the underlying symptoms, not the thing. The medication issue is real. And by the way, I should be saying I am not a doctor. I am not a psychologist. I am a patient who has spent a lot of years hiding her pain and then actually helping people with it. So this is books and whatnot. So I was afraid I was going to get addicted. And I used to, when I would come, there were 5 surgeries to try to fix the damage from the first. And I would come out and I literally would write down every pill I took so that we could see when it was. And I talked to my doctor about it. And here's what he told me. When you are in a severe amount of pain and you take the right dosage, it will just basically cloud your brain so you can't feel the pain. That will not get you addicted. What gets you addicted, according to my pain doctor, is the day you do not need that level of pain medication and you take it anyway.
That's interesting.
That's the day the addiction starts.
Huh. Yeah, you're taking it for fun.
Well, or you don't even realize because you're so caught up in it all, you don't realize you're taking the 30-day prescription,
Yeah.
right? And like the other day, I had to go to Emerge because I threw out my hip. And I'm not going to tell you what I was doing, but I am because now I've told you I was dancing and I was having so much fun. I did a big woohoo and I whipped out my hip and I heard something snap and I thought I had torn a ligament or broken my hip. And I am 51 years old and I walked into Emerge and said, I am too young for this. But anyway, it was a ligament problem. But they offered me pills. And I said, I will take 4. I will take 4. That will get me through the next 48 hours. And I took 2.
Well, and Victoria doesn't take any.
I know this crazy woman, which is a lot of suffering. But anyway, all that to say, I think so much of it is about self-advocacy. But when you're in it, it's so overwhelming.
Oh,
It could be so overwhelming. How do you even have the bandwidth to go, wait a second, what do I need to do? And that's where you need good people around you.
This is so true. This is so true because I will tell you, and I love Allison more than, and I told you this before, but Allison has been like on my shoulder so many times over the years when I've had a surgery, and she'll be like, how's it going? Let me know. Give me an update. And then she's like, why am I seeing your pretty face on Zoom right now? You just got out of the OR like 5 hours ago. What are you doing? Why are you working? Like, and I'm like, "Well, I have to get this done." She's like, no, you don't. And she's like on my shoulder advocating, and she's like, no, 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 no. What are you doing? And she has CRPS like I do. And Michael didn't know what CRPS was. A lot of people don't know what it is. And I've had over 100 surgeries and I've never taken a single pain medication ever. I came home the day and Allison knew me then. I came home the day of my amputation. She thought, what the hell are you doing? Like she decided to like say her piece about it. And I was like, I can't be in the hospital. I can't be there overnight. And the thing is that I wake up and Michael will tell you that I work 14 hours a day, 15 hours a day. And literally, I wake up and I'm like, if I don't feel pain, then I think I'm dead because all I've had for the last 20 years is pain every single day. And, with my daughter and everything else, I've never taken a pain medication. And everybody has a reason why they have or they haven't, and I have not. But the thing is that you're right. You absolutely have to advocate for yourself. The doctors do not talk to each other. They don't advocate for you. You have to do it for yourself or your loved one. And even having a great support system like Allison, because she's been such a great support system for me, does make a difference. But people don't understand. And then a lot of people do, like Mike said before we went live, is that a lot of people just slip into a sense of quote unquote normalcy. And I hate that word, where they're just like, okay, this is what it's going to be. So I'm just going to give in and never do anything again. Like they told my daughter she'd never eat by mouth. She would never talk. She would never doing this. She does it all. Like she had a feeding tube 90% of her life. She got rid of it. She had to get it again. Well, she doesn't have it anymore. And now she eats everything by mouth without a tongue. Like, seriously, that's crazy. They told me, you're never going to write another book. You're never going to do anything. You're one-handed. How the hell are you going to do anything? And since then, I've written like 50 more books. And it's like, don't tell me what I'm not going to do. Watch and tell me what I will do. And that's the thing is, how about give a spin of positivity instead of like here, and especially in America, like when I go in for a surgery, like literally they'll come in and say, what do you want? Like I have a new surgeon in my surgery coming up and he's like, what do you want me to write you? And I said, absolutely nothing. Don't waste the paper. I won't take it. And it's, well, what are you going to take for pain? Nothing. And this is the very first doctor I've ever had. And I told Allison this, afterwards a couple weeks ago. He walked in and said, how long have you had CRPS? And he was the very first doctor who's ever asked me that, and we both have our fair share of different doctors. But it's the fact that people don't advocate for you. You have to do it for yourself. And you need to go in there and be prepared and ask the questions. The average doctor here in America, Mike and I've said this so many times, is 3 to 4 minutes of preparation before they come in and spend, 10 minutes with you before they go to their next patient. And that's ridiculous.
It is. And that becomes a reality. What somebody said this to me once, and it just struck me to share with you. Doctors are taught that they're there to fix people. I've got this problem, this gash, I'm going to put stitches on it.
Right.
That's how they are. They got into the industry, most of them, because they want to help people and they want to make them well. Pain is the most ambiguous type of issue, and there is no answer often that can be driven by the doctor, except the pill. So mine, when you say, why do the doctors want to give a pill? It's because their job, they're trained, their essence is, I want to figure out how I can help people. And
it's
the
nice.
only way.
But I think, and you were talking about when you were first introducing yourself, you were talking about the lessons and the nuances that were getting fired at us all the time, and to the point where they become cliches. And of course, they're cliches for a reason because there's truth behind them. Blah blah blah. And I totally agree that doctors don't go into this because they want to be in a situation where they're pushing pills on people. They don't want to be beholden to insurance companies. I think, doctors care. They give a shit and they care about us. They're just like us, though. They wind up being in situations where they're beholden to a different script or whatever the case may be. And unfortunately, the things that we hear in this space, right, podcasters and wannabe influencers, at least me, we try to tell people about ways to be proactive. And unfortunately, what you guys are both saying is the medical system is sort of turned upside down in that way, and it's very much reactive now. And all those cliches and all those nuances that you mentioned we need to get back to that, even though they kind of turn us off, because I'll be honest, I hate that cheesy crap when people are constantly, make sure you put your own oxygen mask on first before you do. I use that same stupid cliche too, but.
Right. But okay, so let me give you 3 cliches, and I wanted to share with you exactly how I believe they make things worse.
Okay. Good. I love it.
Let's go with the oxygen mask thing.
Yeah.
First of all, when people are caring for other people, they're often the people who are already caregiver type people, and they've never actually learned how to take care of themselves long before they were a caregiver or a patient. So it's not within them. So putting the oxygen mask on first when you're 45 years old and you've never put it on before is a new skill that needs to be learned. And the thing is, when you are able-bodied, when you are not caring for someone, when you're not overloaded and you're just kind of climbing your way through life, you can get away with it. As we get older, we can't get away with it anymore. And so now all of a sudden you're looking at setting boundaries, having expectations, being clear, doing things very strategically. So you streamline all your tasks so you get them done faster. So that's like a bigger conversation. But that's the first one. People don't know how to put an oxygen mask on. So you can say put it on all you want, but they're like, yeah, I am. I slept last night. No, you didn't. You tossed and turned and you were, trying to numb out before you went to sleep to make yourself feel better. Okay. So we can agree that's why that one needs a nuance behind it. The one that I think pushed me, which one's worse? Bounce back. You're going to bounce back, or when you're going through hell, keep on going. So you don't, so the devil doesn't know you're there. The problem is that when you push and you push and you push and you push when you're going through tough times, eventually you're going to push yourself into burnout. And so it's being able to exist in the chaos and the hurt and the pain and the overloaded responsibilities and just feeling like you're suffocating and still having the ability to step back, be objective about everything that's happening and be strategic about how you're addressing each one of those. That's like capacity design 101. But like, just keep going was my modus operandi. And I remember the day the neurologist told me I was going to never work again. I'd be on pain medication for the rest of my life. And it was a changing point. But that night, after hearing that, I got home absolutely ripped apart emotionally, mentally, physically.
I can only imagine. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what did I do? I had a choice. Actually, this is in Chicken Soup for the Soul, January's book that was launched. The story, but I had a choice. As I was looking in the mirror, I had this little motivational thing that said deserve to hit the pillow, meaning I got to do enough in my day before I deserve rest. And instead of collapsing into my bed, I literally went out to my office and finished a bunch of work that was self-inflicted, wasn't paid work, by the way. It was volunteer, it was helping people out, it was doing all this. And I literally was like a drunken sailor trying to get back to my bedroom when I finally decided I deserved to go to bed. And the next morning, I was like, this is bullshit. I can't keep going like this. But like, that to me is when you're going through hell, keep on going and pushing it doesn't work. And the last one that I think was actually even more detrimental was the thinking that bouncing back is actually what we're trying to do. That resilience is about you've got to bounce back. And the very notion of change is that what was no longer exists. So all the years I spent trying to get back to my body that was not damaged, like my pre-surgery physical being, to the way things used to be, to the goals I wanted to have. Like I had gone from working 18-hour days to having 2 to 5 hours of functioning in a day. And I was looking to go back to 18-hour day Ellie. And that pointing ourselves back, actually, I wrote an article for Success Magazine. It was the paradox of resilience. You can't bounce back because what was no longer exists. And so it's really got to be about how do we look at what today's reality is and craft and design the life we want moving forward within that reality.
And that I mean, it gives me goosebumps listening to that synopsis of that particular cliche, because so many of the families that I work with, and particularly, you know, a mom and dad whose daughter just got diagnosed with a severe mental illness at age 19. Friends, she's going to have this schizophrenia for the rest of her life, certainly the rest of your life. I don't, it's not your new normal, but when whatever you think you're bouncing back to is not there anymore. So bounce onto something different, because and I think that that's one of the great things about having this conversation with you here today, is to say to folks who are in these situations, God knows through no fault of their own, what do they do? How do they learn this resiliency? How do they? What are some of the things that you coach people and baby steps here? Baby steps, Bob. Where are we
Baby
starting?
steps.
Where are we starting?
Okay, first thing is we've got to give you a little bit of space and grace to realize you're going through a human experience that is different for every one of us, and it has ups and downs. But the way I look at it is I imagine everything is this great big, you remember like Christmas lights? You know how when you put the Christmas tree lights in a thing and then somehow you thought you put them away properly, but the next year you bring them out and they're all like tangled up like this, right? And there's just no way to like properly untangle them. That is our life.
Mm-hmm.
All of the problems are tangled together, and you can't solve tangled.
I love that. And that's why I only buy those pre-lit Christmas trees now.
Fair enough. And you just can't get rid of your entire life, like to buy a new one. But everybody has got these things tangled up. And so the very first thing, baby step, I would love you to do, if you are listening right now and you can identify that when you feel your stress, it just feels like everything is clouded together, is I would like you to go with a pen and paper and post-it notes, put on your favorite music, and I want you to write down everything that is going on in your life, every one of those strings that is tangled up. And the reason I ask you to do that is because we cannot be objective about something while we're having the same thought. So if we can put it out on paper, and I remember one client, and I do this with my executive clients, even if they're not going through something big in their life, right? Like just like you got a lot of people on your team, you've got a lot of tasks you got to do, you've got client work that's got to get done. Just write it all down. And she said, I don't want to write it down because I don't want to see everything that I'm dealing with. And my response was, not seeing it doesn't mean you're not dealing with it.
Yeah, and there's psychology. There's actually science behind this idea of taking it out of your brain and putting it on paper, and it's a catharsis and it is a release. This is true. I don't know exactly how you would put that into Claude or Gemini. My girlfriend's Gemini. You like Claude, I like Gemini.
Okay, fair enough.
So I don't know how you would put that in there, but there is research that says there's value to getting it out of your stupid brain and getting it on paper. It helps you release it. It really works.
So I'm going to ask you to take it a step further, but this is the exercise I'm going to ask you not to do on a computer. Don't take it to Gemini. Don't take it to Claude, and don't take it to ChatGPT. I know what you're saying.
I was saying research the research.
Yeah. Oh, the research. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to do the research, you could do it on your AI.
Exactly. Yes, you can. Very good point. Interesting. The research we care about for each person right now is the N of 1. And I think in research terms, that means, does it work for you? And here's what I want you to do with those Post-it notes. You've written down 40 things that you're dealing with. Separate them into piles. And these piles are the question of this. Am I going to remember it in 5 years, 5 weeks, or 5 days? Because it's not all, even though it all feels overloaded, there are certain things in our life that are actually adversities. And those are the catastrophic events in our life that will forever change the way we know our life to be. Go through a trauma, lose your job, go bankrupt, get a divorce, have a breakup. Those are the big life events. And you'll often recognize them because they're like life before surgery, life after surgery.
Yes.
Okay. That is the first pile. We got to deal with those differently. I'll tell you how we're going to deal with them after we've got them separated.
Okay. What about the people who put everything in those piles? That awful
They're
lot.
lying.
Well, of course, but there's
lying to themselves. They can lie all they want to us, but look at it yourself. So I'll give you some examples too about how to figure this out. So let's go through the piles. The second pile are the obstacles. These are the things that actually have a solution, meaning money challenges. There is a solution. We just got to find it. Relationships issues, when they're not broken up and both people are still at the table, those are obstacles that we have to get through. But once we figure it out, or maybe it's a project that's late for a client, or if you're an entrepreneur, maybe you lost your biggest client. Like I've been there, right? Where a new CEO comes in and ripped apart like 90% of my income because he just had no more outside consultants. And I went, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have just had one great big client. That was a problem, right? But that is an obstacle. So when you solve it, when you solve it, you can get past it and you can keep going on your path. But the thing that clouds our judgment and our stress levels and makes everything feel more chaotic and harder are the third pile. And those are the tasks. And the tasks are the things that we just got to get done. I've got, to drop the kids off at school. I've got to do my job. I've got to run the report. I've got to figure out how to buy, food, like whatever. No, that's an obstacle. But like the tasks are the things that are so easy to let suck away our capacity when what we really need to do is do them. And we often need to do them faster and more strategically than we're doing them right now. Okay. So the equivalent of this, if we were to, Mike, I know you're going to be in Toronto in a couple of weeks. And if I were to meet up with you there and we said, we want to go for a nice walk, and we're going to go, and at the end, Victoria's going to fly in, we're going to walk to the airport and we're going to meet Victoria. Okay. Wouldn't that be a fun time? Oh my gosh. So
have at it. Let me know how it goes.
But let's go back to the idea. We're going for a walk. And if you were walking with me and I started picking up pebbles and putting them in my shoes and find a rock and put it in my knapsack, and then like I'm carrying a whole bunch of like brush cleaning up off the trail. And then we get to the end of our walk and we arrive and you're looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a hard walk, wasn't it? And you're like, it wasn't hard at all. You made it hard.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You made it hard for yourself. And I'm telling you, 90% of our tasks in life we are making hard. And we got to stop making them hard. And that's a skill set. We just got to do them, pull the Band-Aid off, get it done. Okay.
I love that. I love that. What would you call that? It's a parable or whatever you
A
just
visual.
the,
Yeah.
the hike thing is awesome. I mean, I've heard it with the monks that are carrying the weight and the relative weight of importance versus duration. That's a great way to say it. That is I love that. That's a
Okay.
cool
You
analogy.
got it.
Yeah.
All right. So you understand. So every time you're doing a task and you're getting irritated and you're like, oh, I got to do this, like emptying the dishwasher. And if it feels hard and distracting and like it's sucking away your capacity and creating friction, wanting to think about just that, like that, or even with your clients or anybody who's listening. Am I putting pebbles in my shoes and making this harder than it needs to be? But now we still have two important buckets. We have the obstacles next. And the obstacles are the equivalent if we're walking along that path and all of a sudden the path, there's a big storm that happened the night before, and now we've got a great big tree blocking our path. Okay. So what do? We look at that tree, and really all we got to figure out is, am I going to go over it? Am I going to go under it? Am I going to go around it? Am I going to blow it up? What am I going to do to get it out of the way so I can keep walking the same path? I just got to deal with the tree in the way.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know people who go, look at the tree blocking my path. Oh my gosh, I've just got to make a quick phone call. Let everybody know that the tree is in my way. And they don't just walk over it, under it, around it, blow it up, move it out of the way. They sit on the log and they rub the log and they tell it their life story and they give it a hug. And Mike, you're up ahead going, Alison, can you get off the log? The log? Just get past the log. And I'm like, no, look at the log. Where did it come from?
The copper beech tree. It's my favorite tree.
Right. And then like a year later, we get back together and we hang out and we go, God, remember that log? And you're like, what log? There is no, like, oh, right. The one you were hugging unnecessarily. Those are the obstacles. And the best example I have of this happens in airports. Because when you travel, are there going to be delays? Are there going to be mechanical errors? Are there going to be crews that are over their hours and have to be swapped out? Are there going to be storms that happen? Yes. But yet people act like it's the very first time it's ever happened. Some people. And so if in our life we expect obstacles, if we expect waiting rooms to be long and we come prepared and are strategic about it, the key is we can unload so much of our capacity, just liberate it by going, oh, that's an obstacle. And I've got to figure out how I can look at it objectively, back to the paper idea, and figure out the right solution. That's the second bucket. Obstacles we must solve, tasks we do. That still leaves the big stuff. And the big stuff is equivalent of us walking on that path. There is an earthquake, and all of a sudden the path we were on no longer exists because of the sinkhole that was just created. Now, we're walking on this path. This adversity, we can't just keep pushing through. We can't build back up the path that we were on because it's a sinkhole. We can build a bridge. We can find a way around it. We can decide to return to our car and not finish the walk. We can do a whole bunch of things, but we cannot bring that sinkhole back to the path. And so in our lives, when you think about the adversities, losing someone we love, out of a relationship, having the surgery that went wrong, having some sort of a diagnosis that will never go away, and we try to treat it like it's an obstacle, we can't fix it. We're just banging our head against a wall, right? And it's like that rhythm of trying to fix something that cannot be solved. That's the hard part. And the only way we can deal with those adversities is to give ourselves the space and the grace to go through the human experience to heal from them. And healing sometimes, in the case physically, like Victoria and I and our traumas, we can't physically heal from it, but we can work towards healing the heart. I wrote my letter, a surgeon to my letter. I wrote a letter to my surgeon when I released the lawsuit from him because I realized I had to heal. And I was so angry at him screwing up my body that, and this is many years ago now, right? So that was surgery happened over 19 years ago. I was so angry. And the only way I could move forward was to forgive him. And that took a lot of work. I'm not going to suggest it's easy, but it was otherwise. I was just so obsessed with my pain and so angry about it. I couldn't see the other side of the thing. And, a dear friend of mine, lost his son, right, to cancer. And when we were talking about the tasks, obstacles, adversities concept, he's like, yeah, I get it. The big stuff, the little stuff. No, it's not that because it's not that. It's the solvable versus the unsolvable. And if we leave those all tangled together, if we don't untangle those, we can't deal with it. But you can't. And he's like, oh, that's why when I was trying to push my wife to fix this and when he was in the hospital and everything, and it was like, no, you can't fix it. And that's so hard, but it's such a different part of our human experience, and it's such a different part of resilience.
Well, it's a radical acceptance.
Eventually, but gosh, that's not easy.
No.
But it's definitely harder if we try to task our way out of the adversity. And so that's it. Tasks, obstacles, adversity. I believe it's the most powerful framework that I bring into the marketplace because from that, it's just every one of us has all three. And when we just call it all stress, they all create a different type of stress. They all require a different type of resilience and strategies that each one of us needs to do. But it's the universal through line for all the challenges and the great big tangly ball of stress, mess of stress that people have in workplaces and in our personal lives.
I'll tell you what, man, that was like the best TED Talk I've ever heard. Right there.
Well, from your lips to God's ears and the universe's marketplace ears, because I would love to share this and get this message out there.
Freaking awesome.
Thank you.
And I hope people get to watch you as well as listen to you, because watching you just go through that with a dummy like me was just so impressive. It's so natural, and so you lived it. I mean, dude, you are living what you just preached, and it's that was fantastic. So
that makes my heart sing. Thank you.
Oh, he's amazing. Never listens to me.
Hey, I'm here, right? I am grateful for that. Yeah, it to me, it's the aha people see. Where even when I do this with an audience and I say, okay, before I tell the story, I'll say, write out all your tasks. Just give me 5 of them on a piece of paper as your private list. And then I go through the task, obstacle, adversity framework, and they go back to their list of 5. And there's usually a pretty even balance just in those 5 of one really big thing, a few obstacles, and a few tasks that are hanging over their head. And when you can start chipping away and getting those tasks done with less friction, right? Think about how that impacts our capacity. And then when we solve those things, we feel more hope. And then the adversities, they just kind of go, you know what? Maybe I got to just give myself that space and grace to recognize that I need to be in a fetal position on the floor. And that's okay.
And what you're talking about, your N equals 1. The number of people you're talking to is 1, but you're speaking to so many people that this could relate to. It's fantastic. I'm really impressed and inspired because I'm actually working on a book right now, and I'm at that framework, section and the way you live it, and you've lived it unfortunately through pain and suffering and your own surgical mishap. But boy, I'll tell you, we are better for it. So thank you for that, because that's like a mic drop the way you went through that. I'm really happy.
Woo, I'm excited.
Yeah, no,
I'm
and I
excited
don't,
because it works. Not because
I
me,
don't say this.
like I did that post-it note exercise the morning after that doctor's appointment. That night when I went into my office instead of going to bed,
Yeah.
the next morning I woke up and I literally got out papers like oh, sugar plum. Nothing's electric. You've got water there. And except for this, but it's been through a few of those. I'll turn it off. Yeah, that was the process.
Yeah.
That was what happened. Was I all the post-it notes and all the big colorful pieces of paper, and when I started to put them into thing, I realized it was the framework of how adversities cause obstacles, cause tasks, is that it goes to the next level. But anyway, I'm so grateful that it resonates, because I do believe for each one of us, our mess is our message. I mean, I heard that back in the 80s, and that is one of those, those platitudes that I think sticks, because we can help people when we're one step ahead of where they're at today.
That's wonderful. Wonderful stuff. Victoria, thank you for introducing me to Alison. That was absolutely inspirational, especially, my little, and I have no pain threshold whatsoever. So you two are are an inspiration in that regard. But I'm a big baby, so any boo-boo I get is going to put me out. But and it's funny, because as you were having this discussion and going through this framework, I kept thinking, well, when do we get to find a different path? And
Life is your path.
I guess, yeah, but I guess the only place that it really would, and I thought it was during the obstacles, but no, if anything, during the adversity, sometimes you have to find a different way around, and which means
Yeah,
a different path, right?
that's the path. That you're right. That is exactly when you have to find the new path. You're forced to, because the path no longer exists.
Yeah.
With the obstacle, you just got to get over the thing that's blocking the path. The path's still there.
That's great stuff. So how can all these people that we want to be listening, where should they find you? Where can they get this message? And
So thanks for asking that question. AlisonGraham.com is my website. So 2 L's and an I. I'm on LinkedIn most actively. So please come and connect with me, and definitely tell me you're listening to the show, because then I can put a face to a name and be there. If you're working in a company or you're in a part of an association that's having conference and are hiring professional speakers, by all means. And if I speak and do training for companies, and if somebody running a TED conference, if we're listing off all the ways that they're popping into my head, maybe it is a TED talk that would be lovely. Or, let somebody who has a platform like an Adam Grant and Brene Brown know about this little idea, because they were talking about it the other day. And I know we all put our goals on these great big podcasts, but Adam Grant, if you haven't followed him yet, it's worth it. They've got a double podcast called The Curiosity Shop. And the other day, Adam asked Brene to define the difference between a trauma and an adversity. And in that conversation, I'm like, no, wait. There's this better way to look at it. And it's this framework. And I just wish I was part of that conversation, right? Like,
I actually really like Brene Brown.
Oh, I love her.
I really do like her.
Yeah.
And I have for quite a while.
Yeah, they're incredible. And you know what? I think there are a lot of people who are out in the world who have equally thoughtful remarks to make. I think there are people who have incredible content to make. They just don't have the platform.
Well, and you're one of them, frankly.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
This was very Brene Brown-esque, and I'm grateful that you did that here with us. And Victoria, this has been great. I mean, you haven't even had a chance to ask questions or throw in your usual nuggets, pearls of wisdom. But
I have her. She's in my tribe, so I get her all the time. So I'm okay. But like that, she has the best books ever. I've read her books; they're fantastic.
well,
You
what are some of your books? Tell me about your books.
Oh, well, let's see. If I go to my back shelf,
Oh, they just
I
happen to be
read
right here.
Chicken Soup for the Soul, Change Your Habits, Change Your Life. I think it's like the fourth or fifth last chapter is the one about the day that I didn't choose sleep and I needed to learn to choose sleep. So and they're just great books. Take Back Your Weekends is very much a stress less, do more, be happier, is about the capacity cylinder and how do you look at the tasks, obstacles, adversities.
I love this.
My original books were all about networking and business development. I wrote these when I was in the worst of my pain journey, and nobody would have ever known. Professionally published and doing media tours. Yep.
Come
But
on,
the real one. Are you ready for this?
this one.
Married my mom, birthed a dog, how to be resilient when life sucks.
I love this book.
I love that.
So what I found out about this book is don't put a joke in your book title because people won't know what it means. But
Yeah.
it was basically because I had to ask for help. And my mom came and lived with me. And then because of the surgery and stuff, I didn't get to have children. And which is really like still a part, is an adversity of my life.
Wow.
Right. And so Winston, who hopefully will be in the next issue of Chicken Soup for the Soul, is 16 and a half now. And he really became like my baby, which some pet people don't understand, but those who have not had children.
I think most pet people do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm looking at mine sitting right here.
Yeah. They're very sweet. So anyway, that was
well, I gotta check this stuff out in these books, and I'm just so happy that you came on and they're so good. And by the way, I think your nose looks great. I don't know what.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got lots of shaping and lots of but it is because I took that research for the Vienna study.
Yeah.
And there you go. It's getting better.
Before we go, actually, that's something that I should probably do a shameless plug for our stuff. In this Care Navigator journal that we've been working on, I developed years and years ago, and Victoria's really helped me bring it to the next level. And it is all about keeping your records, keeping your thoughts straight, so that keeping your research straight, so you can go to the doctor with a binder and say, "Doctor, here's everything you need." Take it home and read it when you're bored tonight, and it will help better inform you about my treatment or the treatment of my son, my daughter, my loved one, whatever. So having that now, this stupid knowledge is power. It is, and it gives you a place. When you talk from a place of knowledge, it gives you confidence, it gives you cachet, and it earns you respect and influence in a room. And so going in there as you did with your book of research, going in there as I'm encouraging people to do with a timeline of events, what medications were tried, what worked, what didn't work, so valuable. So you did it in a way that was very helpful for you. We've been encouraging people, Victoria and I, to really get this journal that we have to, again, call it a shameless plug, whatever. If it helps you, and trust me, I don't know what your experience is, Alison, but when you hand the stuff to the doctor, if he's worth his weight in anything, he appreciates it, and he thinks it's like Christmas morning because now he's got somewhere in there as an answer that he can glom onto.
Do you want to know why I'm going to be so bullish on this thing that you have, meaning excited, gassed from the beginning of our call today? Yes. There are two reasons, and neither of which you touched on. So I'm going to add on, value for your
for our promotion. There you go.
Yeah. First one is because often when we go to a new doctor, the story and the facts of our case get lost in the emotional storytelling of it.
Yes.
And that even having, and I haven't seen it yet, I can't wait to, but if it has like a little executive summary or table of contents or something that people can point to, and then you can tell the story, but they can see the facts in it. Okay. Yep. I learned that lesson my hard way, and I did not have your resource, and I wish I did, because I can think of a lot of appointments that would have gone very differently back in the day. Yes. Okay. The second reason is because I believe it will be very validating for people to see everything they tried. every appointment they've gone through, all the medications that didn't work, all the failed promises, to actually see it in black and white, whether it's on your screen or it's in hand paper, is like, I hope you take a look back at that and go, oh my gosh, I have been through so much. And just give yourself a little space and grace to feel the feels of that. So it's a very validating tool for somebody's journey. So thank you for bringing that to fruition.
No, well, to couple what you said initially about writing this stuff down, it gives you the opportunity to get it out of your head and on paper too. And there's value in that. And so there's value in both of our messages here. And I think that one of the things that just struck me as you were saying that is, I told the I was in 2 emergency rooms and 3 doctor's appointments in the last 2 weeks. I told the same story 3 different times. If I have to tell the story again, it's going to get watered down. It's going to get watered down. It's going to get watered down. We don't want to
Or it's going to get escalated and escalated and escalated because the first 3 people didn't listen to you.
Yeah, especially since my MRI got canceled yesterday because I was 7 minutes late and I called them and told them I was lost. That's a different story for another day. But Alison, thank you so much for being here with us today. And let's please stay in touch with me. I love what you're all about.
Thank you. I appreciate sharing and for having me on. And I love your budding friendship on this thing, right? Victoria and Mike, this is the 2 of you making stuff happen. They both have the eyes going if you're listening on audio only, but I think that's their
show. His eyes going. And what he's not telling you is that I have, and she'll know because I've done it to her. I've always been checking on him, making sure he's good. How's he feeling? What's he need? Because that's who I am. And I was like, I know I'm done. I'm not trying to bug you, but I want to know, do you need anything? Are you okay? How are you feeling? Because that's someone who's in your corner. And that's so important when you're going through these things to feel like I'm here by myself. I'm in pain. I'm in a bad spot right now, but then I still have somebody supporting me on the side. And it does help. It helps a lot.
It does. And it's appreciated. And she is great at that. So
at that.
Well, very much.
I have to take. Seriously?
Everybody, thank you for listening.
I love you, Allie.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Victoria.
Thanks, guys.